We're live. Hello and welcome to the WWE versus AEW podcast. Live now, I can actually say that. Hopefully, anyway. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I've probably messed so much up here, but hey, whatever. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, how are you doing? But yeah, on tonight's show, we're going to be talking about probably the biggest story in wrestling this week, really, unless I've missed some of it, in which case I'm sorry. But the Wrestlemania announcements. They've announced where Wrestlemania is for the next 3 years. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about last night's AEW Dynamite, and then we're going to be talking about that awful episode of Monday Night Raw from this week. It was, I mean, last week someone was saying to me that I'd gone in a bit deep on WWE. But I'm a big WWE fan, yeah. I've been countless WrestleManias, countless house shows over in the UK, yeah. It's safe to say, I mean, look at the wall. I'd say I'm a big fan, yeah, right? But the last few weeks, I mean, I've been pretty positive this year. I think they've done a decent job with the pandemic era, really. I mean, especially going into the Thunderdome, I think it's been, do you know what I mean? Some of the shows they've been like pretty good. But Raw has it's been a chore to watch. I've been going in and out of watching it. SmackDown's been good. SmackDown has been been solid on it since probably like August time, since the time Roman Reigns came back. And then you obviously had the Sasha Bayley feud. It's been pretty good. But Raw, it's been a big job. So we're going to get into that and more later on the show. Probably going to go about 45 minutes. If anyone's watching, I hope you enjoy it. But yeah. Do you know what? To be honest with you, I almost didn't do this. So I'm going to start by telling you, I know nobody's probably interested, but my day today, right? So last night, yeah, North End, I'm a big Preston fan. We beat Birmingham 1-0. So I woke up this morning in a good mood, right? And I've wanted this beer, right? It's a banana bread IPA. And I've always thought, it sounds good, that beer. I thought, do you know what? Because I'm a window cleaner by trade. And in the UK today, it is absolutely pissing down. It's blowing. I'm not going to swear actually on YouTube. Someone said to me, you shouldn't really be swearing on YouTube if you want to get more views. So try not to swear. But yeah, it's blowing a fucking gale. It's been blowing a gale, right? Pissing down all week. And it's been a hard week. And this morning I just woke up and I just thought, I don't want to go to work today. But I thought, do you know what? First thought, I'm going to drive to Asda and I'm going to get some of this banana bread IPA. And Danny, who is like a big beer drinker, he's recommended this Piston Lager. So I thought, right, I'm going to get that. I'm going to go to Asda this morning. Before I start, get that. So it's pitch black. Drive to Asda, yeah. Get a bit of food. I'm on the beer aisle. It's 4 for £6. So I'm choosing my beers. So about 5 minutes it takes me. Finally get this banana bread, right? This banana bread IPA. Get to the counter. So and there it comes up, challenge 25. So in the UK, yeah, I know a lot of listeners from the States, and it's 21 in the States. In the UK, it's 18. It's 18. You've got to be 18 to be able to purchase beer, right? I'm 29. I'm 30 in May. So this morning, she comes over, Leslie, you're right, just knocking that off. She knocks it off, so I'm like, all right, good to go. Do you have any ID? What? No, I don't. I said, I'm 29. She was like, look, it's challenge 25. I was like, well, I'm 29. And she was like, oh, sorry, I can't serve you. I was like, I said, are you being serious? I said, I've not been ID'd in a supermarket in years. So like an idiot, I had a neck scarf and I was like, look, I've got a tattoo. I couldn't have a tattoo if she weren't having any of it. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't going to be rude with her because I thought, if you're working in a supermarket at 7:30 in the morning, you're probably not in the best mood as it is. But I was sat there and I thought to myself, she must have just took out a bad morning on me. Because what kind of 17-year-old, does anyone here who's listening, yeah? Because we have got people watching, hello, right? What kind of 17-year-old, right, would be at Asda at 7:30 in the morning with about 8 bags of carrots and broccoli, yeah? And cauliflower, right? At 7:30 in the morning with an IPA banana bread 5.2%. I don't know many 17-year-olds like that. So, yeah, I was fuming. So, this is what, I went to B&M around the corner. I don't know why this is. I went to B&M. I thought, right, don't be annoyed. Go to B&M. Danny's told me they sell these beers there. Get to B&M. Get out my van. It's blowing a gale again. Go up to B&M. Don't open till 8:30. I was just like, you've got to be joking me. You've got to be joking me. So start work, get to the first estate, pulling in. This guy completely cuts off. I had to slam on. I was just like, this day is not going to plan. So yeah, I had a horrible day. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a few houses and then I'm going to get back home and watch Dynamite. That'll cheer me up. And then I looked at my phone, I had a message off Neil. Oh, I won't rush back from work, mate. Dynamite weren't all that last night. I thought, great. It was a long day. So yeah. Right, let's get into that is my day. Oh, and by the way, on the way back after I'd done these, you might have seen the tweet. I was tweeting out, people in the States don't know how lucky they are being able to have Mountain Dew from every shop that they go in. So I went back to B&M, and I got this. Mountain Dew Light. I was absolutely buzzing. So yeah, Mountain Dew Light. So thanks for the people who said there is places in the UK that sell it. Right, so we're going to get into the wrestling soon. I just want to say thanks to everyone that's listening. The Twitter at WWE versus AEW. If you've got any questions or anything, or just anything you want to say. To be honest with you, I'm new to this streaming. We're streaming via StreamYard, and I'm trying. It's the first time, so I'm sure I'll get better at it as we go on. But I want to say thanks to everyone who's subscribed. We've got, we're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty crazy, really. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who's subscribed recently. Hopefully we can get up to that 1,000 subscriber mark. So yeah, right, let's get into it. I'll tell you what, most podcasts you're not meant to drink on air, but I love a brew. So yeah, I'm gonna have a quick sip of my brew and then we're gonna get into the wrestling side of things. By the way, I don't know if they do this in the States, right? But this is amazing. I'm not promoting for a Nescafe, by the way. Cinnamon bun latte. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But right, so let's get into the wrestling side of it. So, as I said, the big story from the week was pretty much I've done a bit like this before. As someone who traveled, basically, I usually base my holiday around going to the States to watch WrestleMania. But they usually just announce one. About 12 to 14 months before they'll announce where it is. But this year, they announced in just a random video that came out of nowhere on Saturday night. I woke up at 4 a.m. Sunday morning to Danny saying, "Are you excited to go to Dallas?" Thought, I went to Dallas when I was a kid, not really. And I looked, they'd announced that WrestleMania 37 is at, Roman Reigns announced that, is at Raymond James Stadium, where it was meant to be last year. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to go. Gutted. I was really looking forward to being able to go, hopefully next year, but they're doing that this year. So it's 2 nights. That's the big story. 2 nights, WrestleMania 37 will be, which I think is the right decision. I mean, anyone who's been to a WrestleMania, especially the ones in recent years, will attest that the shows, they're just too long. They're too long. They're you get in there an hour and a half before, and it's a battle getting into the stadium usually. You get into the stadium, hour and a half. The pre-show's 2 hours. And then you've got the main show, which can be 4 to 5 hours. You're in the stadium for at least 8 hours, and it is just a chore. So cutting the show down, I think, will be a good thing. But it doesn't look like they're actually doing it going forward, because at 38, 39, they've only actually announced that it's 1 day. Hopefully this year's is a success, and they do change it to 2 nights. Because someone who travels to WrestleMania, I'd sooner travel for 2 shows than 1, really. New Japan have been doing it, Wrestle Kingdom, and I think it's been a success, especially this year's Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it took a while for them to get into the hand of how to do it, but I do think it is miles better. I mean, nobody wants to watch a WWE show for 6-7 hours, do they? I know I certainly don't. But yeah, so this year, like last year they did at the Performance Center, it is going to be 2 nights. I mean, WrestleVotes, I'd love to know. Does anyone know who WrestleVotes is? I mean, they've been posting spoilers on Twitter for years. And I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10, they do pretty much come true. So WrestleVotes are a pretty reliable source. And they're saying that WWE are hoping that they're going to get 25,000 in each night, which would be great. I mean, 25,000 fans would be a big difference. So I would be really excited for WrestleMania this year if we can indeed get the 25,000 fans in. Even if it's, I mean, over in the UK, we've been having, in December, there was people at football matches and they was letting in about 2,000 people. Surprised. I don't know if the stream went off then, but let's crack on. They can make a big difference. I mean, not anymore because Boris plunged us back into a lockdown after that, but it did make a big difference. So I can only imagine what 25,000 would do. It just makes it's going to be good because it will make WrestleMania seem much bigger than it has. Than the pay-per-views have in recent years. So yeah, so they've also announced that WrestleMania 38 is going to be at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Looks like I think I'll be going next year if we're allowed. Touch wood, everything will be hopefully back to normal. But for me, I've never really. I'm sorry if anyone's listening or watching who's from Dallas. Some distant family over there, so I did go when I was a kid, but it's not really been a place I've been too interested in going back. I mean, there are some people that it appeals to go to Texas, but for me, don't know. I mean, I love New Orleans. New York was San Francisco, San Jose was okay, but Orlando was good. But yeah, Texas. But that stadium does look amazing. I mean, I did have everything booked for 32, but little girl came about 2 months before, so I couldn't really go, unfortunately, due to finances. So it might be my second chance to be able to go. And then they also announced, which surprised me, 2 years in April, WrestleMania 39. It was meant to take place this year, actually, wasn't it? We should all be heading out to LA in a month or two. But WrestleMania 39 is taking place from SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. I knew that was going to happen. I knew at some point, that was going to go off. Let's see, can we get it back on? It's live, isn't it? This was always going to happen. Oh, well, looks like you're stuck with that screen for now. I had a nice little screen going, and YouTube has completely messed it up. But hey, Roman Reigns is back on. Oh, he's gone. Hey, it's live, everyone. Sod it. Oh, dear. Right. Live. So what? Right, so we've got the Fire Stick background on. Fantastic. I've completely lost track of where I was. Yeah, WrestleMania 39 in LA. I mean, we're all thinking that they're going to do this Roman versus The Rock match at WrestleMania 39. I mean, it's all going to come down to what The Rock's schedule is like. There's so many people are assuming that that's going to be the main event, but there is so many things that could go wrong from now to then, just involving each individual wrestler. I mean, The Rock could be filming a movie. Roman hopefully could get injured. You don't know where wrestling's going to be in 2 years. So it might happen, it might not. Hopefully that would be a huge main event. But if not, I mean, Ronda Rousey is going to have to come back at some point, isn't she? You would think. I mean, what happened? She was taking time off to have a child, where nothing really came of that, did it? But Becky Lynch did. But hopefully Ronda will be back, Becky will be back, and maybe they can have a big match in LA. Maybe Ronda will come back for the big show in Texas next year, because they will have 100. Well, they say 100,000, but I think it's more than 90,000 to sell for WrestleMania in Texas next year. So yeah, that was the big news. The 3 WrestleMania venues have been announced, and I'm quite excited for Mania this year, if indeed we do get the 25,000 people in. Another note that's been added, we all love those little pit stops on the road to WrestleMania, and it was announced this week that we will be getting 2 pay-per-views. Usually, they've cut it down to 1 recently. 2 pay-per-views and WrestleMania with them back 2 weeks. They have confirmed that they will be running the Elimination Chamber on February 21st, I'm assuming from the Thunderdome. But Fastlane will be making its return. I'm not sure anyone's really too fussed about Fastlane, but that pay-per-view will be coming back March the 21st. So February the 21st and March the 21st, we've got Elimination Chamber and Fastlane. So at least they won't be treading water up until WrestleMania. They'll have something to aim for. So they're 2 dates for the diary, I'm sure. Now, if you listen to last week's show, first of all, I want to say thanks. But one of the main stories was Ricochet. I mean, we was talking that Ricochet, everybody was saying that Ricochet's contract was going to expire in the upcoming months. I mean, I was petitioning that he should be going to AEW because he's not getting a fair enough run on Raw. He's not being pushed to the levels he should be doing. But Ricochet actually commented on this, that it was false that he would be leaving the company, and his contract was going to expire. And it looks like his contract is going to run out in 3 years, but he signed a 5-year deal until the summer of 2024. So it does look like Ricochet is tied up until the summer of 2024, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know where he's going to be on the roster by that point. Maybe even back in NXT. Maybe for his sake, that'll be the best thing. But yeah, with that, we will start talking about that awful episode of Raw. I mean, I don't want to offend any WWE fans. I am one myself, but I'm sure everyone can agree Raw was a tough watch on Monday night. It really was. And Ricochet, they actually looked like they might be throwing Ricochet a bone. I mean, they did it with Drew Gulak, where Drew Gulak couldn't just enter himself into the Royal Rumble, and they gave Ricochet this. But we're going to, and Pierce was saying, we're going to give you a chance to qualify, and you can face AJ Styles. So I thought, do you know what? Maybe they're going to push Ricochet, and maybe, just maybe, they're going to have Ricochet beat AJ Styles. They had him go out there, and they put on, unsurprisingly, a very good match. That transition into the Styles clash was absolutely fantastic. But in the end, the Styles clash was hit, and AJ Styles won the match. And I don't know what's happening with Ricochet now. He's not in the Royal Rumble by the looks of it. I don't know. Maybe him and Drew Gulak can have a match. The two losers on the pre-show can have a match. But it looks like Ricochet isn't going to be in the Royal Rumble. But you'd assume that he will find himself some point. Raw had a really, really strange opening. We had, obviously, Raw ended last week with Alexa Bliss. I don't even want to say this out loud. Alexa Bliss shooting fire at Randy Orton. And Raw opens, Randy Orton sat, I don't know what, in the Performance Center in the ring with the tackiest mask on you could ever imagine, covering his face, burn marks, horrible makeup burn marks all over his face, cutting this robotic promo about how he's going to win the Rumble. There's a screen where there's throwbacks to his previous wins. And he's just cutting a promo for about 10 minutes, and it was just going on and on and on. And it just wasn't good, was it? It wasn't good. And then the main event of Raw was the show. It might as well be the Alexa Bliss show. If you'd have said to us a year ago that Alexa Bliss will probably be pushed as the biggest thing on Raw in a year's time, we'd have been like, what? When Edge is returning, you'd expect it to have been that a year ago, but no. Alexa Bliss, she main evented. She's all right. Do you know what I mean? I don't actually dislike this character as much as everyone else. Do think it's all right. It's all right. I don't mind her with Bray. But to main event Raw, I was sat watching it Tuesday afternoon, and it was Asuka. She beats Asuka clean, and Raw just ended, and I was like, oh, was that it? It was like the main event. I just assumed there was something else coming on after it, but there wasn't, and it was, I don't know, that was just a random ending to Raw. But the thing I do want to talk about is, I tweeted about it and some people were disagreeing with me. But for me, this segment, I mean, every now and again, WWE can bust out a segment where you're glad that nobody is actually watching the show with you. And this was it. We had Miz and Morrison come out for Miz TV. They come out, and it's supposed to be Goldberg's the special guest on the show. WWE pull out the Gilberg card in 2021. Gilberg comes out. I was just like, is this seriously happening? Miz is like burying Gilberg on the mic. And then they announced Drew McIntyre is off the show with COVID, and this short, fat rip-off of Drew McIntyre with the worst Scottish accent. You will never see a worse Scottish accent, and I can do a pretty bad Scottish accent. But it was the worst Scottish accent you're ever likely to see. He comes out, and these two are just going back and forth. And I'm thinking, this is you, like, it's all well and good. People are like, yeah, it was funny. For me, I'm going to be honest, I didn't think it was funny at all. But can you imagine if AEW, but it's the WWE versus AEW podcast, so I am going to compare the two, right? But can you imagine if AEW, what's then going to be the main event of their next pay-per-view? Probably Kenny against Jon Moxley. Can you imagine AEW doing this? where they just turn it into just a joke segment. A joke segment. I mean, I know they've got the work cut out because Drew's off with COVID. I'm assuming Goldberg couldn't get to the building or something. But is this seriously the best they can make of this match? Which really, on paper, is one of the bigger matches WWE are going to put on this year. I mean, it's probably not going to be a great match, but on paper, Goldberg against Drew McIntyre is a big match at the Royal Rumble, and they were just making a joke out of it. And I just thought, is this the best you could come up with? It's 2021 and we're going back to Gilbert. People were tweeting me on the Twitter saying that, like, this Gilbert first appeared 22 years ago. It's 22 years ago. I definitely wouldn't have been able to get any beer 22 years ago, but still, just be a bit more creative with your stuff. So yeah, it was a horrible segment for me. It reminded me a little bit. I think the last time I watched a segment like this, they did I think it was up there. I don't think I'm over exaggerating. I don't know if people disagree, but it was up there with the Bailey "This Is Your Life" segment and that awful Sami Zayn Bobby Lashley segment. It's something. In a few years, you'll see people posting videos on Twitter saying, do you remember how bad this segment was all them years ago? But yeah, that was pretty much on. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think for me, the Ricochet AJ match was all right. Although I thought just give Ricochet the win. AJ isn't going to hurt from that. But I think the best thing that I did like was that they was having Mustafa Ali and Retribution trying to, like, take revenge on Kofi Kingston for Kofi Kingston taking Mustafa Ali's spot in the Elimination Chamber 2 years ago. So we do have to give credit to WWE on that one, because we all say that nothing in WWE matters 2 months, a month after it's happened. It's forgotten about. But they did remember this, and they have gone back to it 2 years later. So every credit for them on that. I mean, maybe I don't know. Kofi's out with a broken jaw. So I'm trying to think what was Balor was out for 3 months with it. So maybe they're going to go with Mustafa Ali against Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania. What have we got? Just under 3 months. Maybe they could do it. Hopefully they could do it, because otherwise what are they setting it up now for? But yeah, Mace goes over Xavier Woods in this match. And yeah, Kofi versus Mustafa Ali is a WrestleMania fitting match, I think, with the story. Other notes, Raw did 1.85 million viewers. I think they probably could have hoped for better. I mean, the NFL season's finished, I think, in the States. So you would have really hoped they would have done better. But after the show, I'm actually not surprised that they didn't do any better than this. But hey, so that's pretty much everything on WWE that I want to get into. I haven't had a chance to watch NXT yet. I've watched Dynamite. I wasn't really going to watch NXT, but I do want to see the Tommaso Ciampa against Timothy Thatcher. I do want to see that match. Is it the Fight Pit match? Yeah, the Fight Pit match. Riddle and Thatcher had a really good Fight Pit match, in June, before Riddle went to the main roster. So I am looking forward to that. I do think some of Ciampa's best stuff in the last year, I'd say, since he came back, has been this little feud with Ciampa. With Thatcher. So I am looking forward to that. Hello, Bloshy. Someone has just messaged us saying hello. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Let's get into the other stuff. So I did say I finished last week's podcast by saying might do a review. I might come back on Sunday and do a review of the Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill show, maybe SmackDown. But if the shows are, I won't swear, crap or a bit dull, I won't do a review. Now, I saw a lot of praise for the Hard to Kill show, and I do think part of the problem it was, for me, just personally, I do struggle to watch. I think we all had those 3 or 4 months watching wrestling in the empty. I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but watching wrestling in the empty arena setting, like from last March to about July, just brings back bad memories. Brings back really bad memories. And when I watch shows where there's just nobody there, it just reminds me of that time. And I just don't. It's just not for me watching wrestling in that setting anymore. For me, that's done. We're trying to progress here. So when I was watching Hard to Kill on Sunday morning, just a bit like, I don't really want to be watching this. So I just basically, I did watch the Deonna Purrazzo against Taya Valkyrie match. It was all right. I thought it was fine. Most of the wrestlers, the female wrestling Dynamite, I think they could really do AEW could really do to get Deonna Purrazzo on the Dynamite show, because their women's division is really lacking, which we are going to get into in a short while. Sami Callihan had a brutal barbed wire match with Eddie Edwards. I mean, it was all right, but thinking, Jesus, you're killing yourself with barbed wire in front of nobody. And then the main event was the biggest talking point really from the main event. I mean, it was a good match. It was good. You're always going to get a good match. Kenny Omega and Rich Swann in the ring together is always going to be good. I mean, think what you will of Rich Swann, but he's a really, really good worker. And we all know that Kenny Omega is great. So there was always going to put on a good match, and Gallows and Anderson held up their side of the bargain. I thought Moose did really well in this match as well, because obviously Alex Shelley couldn't appear in this match for the Motor City Machine Gun. So Moose did all right in the match, and it was a good match. It was a good match, but the main take from that match was Kenny Omega. He loves it, doesn't he? He come out with the Bullet Club t-shirt on, and that had Twitter in. Everyone on Twitter was like, oh, he's come out in the Bullet Club t-shirt. So, yeah, it just adds a little bit more fuel to the fire of this pot of New Japan and AEW going to be working together. But there's always going to be a link, because New Japan are clearly working with Impact, and Impact are working with AEW. So there is a little bit of a tie in there. But yeah, that was hard to. I mean, I'm not a watcher of Impact. I can't. I'm going to be brutal. I'm biased against the empty arena settings, but I did see a lot of praise for that pay-per-view. So if you enjoyed that pay-per-view, then fair enough. But for me, I much enjoyed the UFC show the night before. The UFC show. I mean, this is a wrestling podcast, but if you've not checked out that UFC show from Saturday evening, it was great in the UK to have a show on at tea time over here. But that was a really, really great pay-per-view. So go and check that out if you're looking for something to watch. So yeah, speaking of Impacts, I didn't watch Impacts. I don't watch Impacts, but apparently Tony Khan was actually ringside for the show last night. So it looks like they're going further with that story. Matt Hardy appeared on Impact, and Private Party, I believe, won a number one contenders match. So they will be facing the Impact Tag Team Champions, Gallows and Anderson, later down the line. So yeah, quite interesting as we get this Impact versus AEW thing going further forward. So yeah, everything is progressing with that. So I tell you what, I need people. Is it JD from New York? He does, and Solo Monster. Those are probably the two main solo guys. How those people, do 2-hour solo podcasts without taking a break. Every credit to them, because I'm almost running out of breath myself. I mean, just let me have another sip of this cinnamon bun latte. It's probably freezing by now, but hey, it's going to be good. Ever the professional. Right, let's get into AEW Dynamite from last night. Billed as -1, -1's birthday bash. And the Dark Order opened the show. And I really like this open to the show. I thought it was a really strong opening. It was the Dark Order versus TH2, Serpentico, and I'll be honest with you, I can't even remember the guy's name who's Serpentico. Luther, that's it. Serpentico and Luther in an 8-man tag match. Hangman Page was teaming with the Dark Order, and the big thing about this match was, going into it, would Hangman Page join the Dark Order? And I was thinking about this before. I mean, a lot of people thought it was going to happen because it was -1's birthday. So they thought that they was going to have Hangman join. But it's been building for a while, if you think about it, Hangman Page joining the Dark Order. But has it really been building on TV for as long? I mean, if you watch Being the Elite, it's been building and brewing for weeks to them trying to get him to join. But they've only just started pushing it hard on TV. So I do think that it makes a lot of sense to drag it out, which is exactly what they did. I mean, the match itself was good. I mean, the spot where Hangman Page lifts up, does he lift up John Silver and Reynolds? And it's a triple suplex, and they fall awkwardly onto, I think it was Luther. They fell onto. They fall awkwardly onto him, but it was just great. It was just funny. And the match really, the last 30 seconds of this match were the best part of it. Just combo spots, the teamwork from all three of them between Reynolds and Silver, buckshot lariat. Silver throws him overhead, and it was a great ending to the match. And it made you want to see, which is the key point of this segment, was it made you want to see Hangman join the Dark Order, because they worked that well together, and it made you think, yeah, go on, Hangman, join the Dark Order. which we all want to see it. We do all want to see it. And AEW clever, Tony Khan's clever, because at the end of it, Hangman Page said, look, I've done this before. I've done the whole group thing before, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to join the Dark Order. And that is just going to drag it out, because eventually when he does join the Dark Order, because it will happen at some point, I mean, whether or not he's going to be the leader, but I do think it makes sense to have Hangman Page leading the Dark Order against maybe Kenny and the Good Brothers. I do think that makes sense, having Dark Order as a group. The top, I mean, Hangman Page is one of the top baby faces. Before this whole pandemic era, Hangman Page was probably the most over baby face, yeah? Dark Order are now going to be the most over baby faces, just for the... So putting them together does make a lot of sense. But why wait middle January? Let's have it build up. Maybe at Revolution they can join forces or something like that. Or maybe when they eventually get to this Blood and Guts match in, I think, are they doing it in September? I feel like I read something about them doing it in September. Yeah, they've put tickets on, not on sale, but everyone who bought tickets for that show, was it in New York? That's been moved to September. So they are doing Blood and Guts in September. So let's build it up slowly. AEW love doing that. And let's have Hangman Page and the Dark Order taking on Kenny Omega and whoever's in his stable at the time. So yeah, we get backstage now where we have MJF and Chris Jericho promo where they say at the end of the night, no matter what, they're going to win and they will move on. The Inner Circle will move on as a group. So that sort of laid the foundations for what was to come in the main event. Next, which will make a lot of people happy, we had Sting and Darby Allin actually finally interacting in the ring together. It was only brief though, but Sting basically congratulated Darby Allin on retaining the TNT title last week before Taz interrupts them on the screen, and he basically challenges them to a fight in the streets. Where Darby responds by saying, be careful what you wish for because it might just happen. So it does look like, trying to think where they could go with this, because did he really want to waste Sting's return in front of no fans? I mean, that's just the decision you've got to make. And obviously, is he cleared? He's probably never going to be cleared. Who knows? He's not. He's 61 years old. So is he going to be working in the ring? So you could, maybe I was thinking you could do, no cinematic matches haven't been great recently. You could do a cinematic match perhaps with, I knew this was going off again, with, or you could just say, do you know what, sod it, let the street fight, loads of bells and whistles, and Sting doesn't actually have to do that much. Who knows? But it does look like we're going the route of Sting and Darby Allin taking on Team Taz. I don't know which members it will be. Maybe they'll recruit someone else later down the line. Who knows? Maybe that will be the Blood and Guts match. Who knows? But this was just a quick segment. It just progressed. It was all about progression on this show. There wasn't really anything key going on. It was just progressing. All the stories heading into Revolution and Beach Blast, the big show in 2 weeks on the Wednesday Night Dynamite. Next, we got a bit of a weird segment. We had the Young Bucks who were outside Kenny Omega's home. Tell you what I was thinking. I thought, in the UK, yeah, it's freezing. And these bastards, it looked absolutely roasting. I don't know where Kenny Omega lives, but I'm guessing, it'd be somewhere in Florida, won't it? But it looked absolutely roasting. Jealous. But yeah, so the Bucks are there. Alex Marvez shows up. They take the camera into Kenny Omega's house where Don Callis is waiting for them. Weird painting on the wall. But basically, Don Callis is saying, look, Kenny doesn't need you anymore. You're like the friends that you move on from when you're trying to grow in life. So yeah, so it's all about Don Callis trying to get rid of the Young Bucks from Kenny Omega's life. And just as like it goes off, the camera goes to black and all you can hear is what seems like fighting, and they try and make it look like the Young Bucks were beating up Don Callis, which we'll wait and see if that actually comes to fruition. Next, this match. Was it just me? This match, Cody Rhodes against Peter Avalon. It wasn't good, was it? It really, really wasn't good. Probably the worst Cody Rhodes match I've seen in years. I mean, it's hard to know who to blame. I mean, obviously, when it's two talents, Cody's up here, Peter Avalon's down here in the pecking order. Peter Avalon is always going to be the one that takes the blame, probably, but just wasn't a good match. They just didn't work well together. They botched a leapfrog. That was awkward. They just like sort of fell down. Cody hits a really awkward cutter. And then the end of the match was Cody has him in the figure four and they're slapping each other. And then Cody's about to slap Avalon and he just taps. And I'm thinking the match has gone way too long. It went like at least 10 minutes, which is way, way too long for a Cody Rhodes, Peter Avalon match. But it was just not good. I didn't like the booking of it and I didn't like the way the match went, to be honest. I just thought it was really poor. So yeah, I wouldn't expect to see Peter Avalon competing on Dynamite anytime soon. So yeah, I'm not sure what they was even thinking doing this match anyway. Not a match that any of us really wanted to see. We have a backstage segment that builds up next week's Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood match. That'd be all right. Jungle Boy looks like he's put a bit of muscle on, doesn't he? He looks like he's getting more into. I bet he'd get served in Asda. Looks like he's getting, do you know what I mean, built a little bit more. Which can only be a good thing, really. But yeah, Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood next week, which will be interesting. I'm not really used to seeing Dax Harwood in single action, and Jungle Boy is clearly the star of this group. So yeah, give Jungle Boy the win over Dax Harwood, hopefully. Next, Jon Moxley in his first match since Winter is Coming, and it was against a guy that I'll be honest with you, I've never actually seen anymore. I mean, I've never seen before. He's called Nick Comoroto. I genuinely don't know who this guy is, but he was a big guy. JR said that it reminded him a bit of Bruiser Brody, but what I like about AEW is, so in like a match, we've never seen this guy before on Dynamite, unless you watch Dark, you might have seen him, but he's a big guy, do you know what I mean? You don't want to just have Moxley go out there, kill him in like 30 seconds, and he doesn't gain anything from it. You have Moxley go over strong, yeah, but you do give this guy a bone, because he did, in stature, the guy could, you know what I mean? Who knows? This guy could be at TNT championship level in like a year. So you don't bury him on his first appearance. I think they did it. There was a big commotion about it about 9 months ago, where there was Kenny Omega against, is it Preston Vance, who's now 10 of the Dark Order? It might be. And everyone was, probably me included, I was probably, I love a good complaint. But everyone was complaining that it took Kenny Omega like 5-6 minutes to beat him. But look where 10 is now. He's like, he main evented Dynamite, a couple of weeks ago. So in 9 months, Kenny Omega, people are complaining, why is he going 4 or 5 minutes with Kenny Omega? Well, he's main eventing Dynamite 9 months later. That's why. So who knows? Maybe in 9 months, Nick Comoroto, if that's his name, will be main eventing Dynamite. Who knows? But Moxley looked great in this. Looked like he looks like he's having the fun of his life, doesn't he? Still having a great time. He comes on the mic after the match. He just cuts his usual quirky Jon Moxley promo, and basically we're pretty sure at this point that it does look like we're going to be getting Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley main event in Revolution. They did announce that there's a tag match at Beach Blast. The main event at Beach Blast is going to be, off the top of my head, because I've not written it down in my notes, Kenny Omega teaming up with the Good Brothers to take on Jon Moxley, some Pat Phoenix and Pac. I'm sure that'll be a great match. No Pentagon. I'd say that. Was it Pentagon? Pentagon got took out later on in the show, so I can't think. I'm sure it was Phoenix they put in the match, but that is going to be a great match. That'll be a great main event to the Beach Blast show next 2 weeks' time, in it. It's proper taking shape. Another note I've got in my notes here. All in my notes, it just says is Jon Moxley. The ring announcer, yeah, Justin Roberts, he does an absolutely amazing job of bringing Jon Moxley to the ring. He reminds me a bit, the way he does it, a bit like Bruce Buffer-esque, the way he just screams Jon Moxley's name. But yeah, Moxley says, like everything in pro wrestling, all roads lead through him, and it was a nice little promo. Backstage, we get another backstage segment. It's just basically building up. Next week, we're going to get Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer. That match is finally going to happen next week. It's tough, isn't it, really? Because I do think that Eddie Kingston needs a win. He's lost a lot of the big money to Moxley, to Pac. So what you'd assume he's going to lose to Lance Archer, because WWE. You need to sooner rather than later, because he's that good on the mic that you just can't keep losing every big match that you have. We get a backstage segment basically alluding to before, where Don Callis is there with the most hilarious makeup job you're ever likely to see. It's just Flipping heck, what's come on here? What is going on with this TV? God knows. Anyway, we're back on that. It's live, everyone. Don Callis has got the worst makeup job that you've ever seen, and he just basically makes out to Kenny Omega that the Bucks attacked him. So we all know where this is going. Progression. That now next we have a match which I've seen a lot of criticism for on social media, and I couldn't really work out why. It was Private Party and Matt Sydal. Not Private Party, Matt Hardy versus Top Flight and Matt Sydal. And I mean, the match, it was messy, it was unpolished, but it was unpredictable. It was an unpredictable match. I mean, I'd sooner see a match like this between two really young, inexperienced teams. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just, you don't know what's coming next. And like the WWE NXT style match where it's all choreographed beforehand. It's just, I couldn't tell you what was coming next. And I thought, I'm going to be honest, I think whatever the opposite of smoothness is, the opposite of that, I thought was good in this match. It worked. Really fun match. The spot where Gary, is it his last name, like a backflip just randomly lands on his head. I was like, oh, is he all right? But do you know what I mean? That you're going to get that with young teams. These guys should be in like an ideal situation. They'd be on the indies now in the early years of their indie run, but no, they're on live TV. Do you know what I mean? So that you are going to get things like this on the way. I just really like this match. Two young teams in there with two really good veterans like Matt Hardy and Matt Sydal. And it was just, I don't know, I really enjoyed this match, but I've seen a lot of criticism for it. I think maybe people saw that like botch and just thought, oh, crap, this match. But I thought it was really good. And I do like this. You've got the main tag teams that are all feuding with each other. But these young trio of tag teams of Top Flight, Private Party, and the Acclaimed, that's three teams. And I do think we're going to see like intertwined feuds between those three teams over the next couple of years. And I'm all for it. I do think it's really, especially now, Private Party have basically, since that big win over the Young Bucks that they had on one of the really early Dynamites, they've not really done that much, have they? But at the end of this match, they actually, like Matt Hardy wanted them to, they actually turned heel and they used the chair to get the victory over Top Flight. So going forward, we're going to have the super white meat baby faces Top Flight against the heels Private Party. And it was a nice little twist. I like the progression in this. And I really enjoyed this match against popular opinion. But yeah, really good match. I thought, go and check this out. And Private Party definitely needed this. And after the match, they beat down Top Flight and Matt Hardy attacked Matt Sydal. So yeah, going forward, we're going to see this feud continue, which I'm all for. Giving a speech to the Inner Circle backstage saying, look, guys, this isn't ideal, but we're going to get through this. It wasn't my idea. It was Chris Jericho's idea. So it just adds a little more fuel to the fire of eventually, I'm sure MJF's plan is to be the leader of the Inner Circle. And I think it will happen. 6 months time, it is going to happen. You just see the way they're going. Layla versus Penelope Ford, in case you missed it. It was originally meant to be Nyla Rose versus Layla Hirsch, but I think Nyla Rose was exposed to someone with COVID, so she contacted AEW and said that she couldn't be in the match. So we get Layla Hirsch versus Penelope Ford, which I don't know what to say. I don't want to every week come in here and go, the AEW women's division should be better, but the top people are Cara Shida, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, yeah, those three. You need a mixture of those three in the matches on every show, because otherwise it just looks exposed. I mean, you're exposed how weak this is, and these matches for me, like Layla Hirsch, Penelope Ford, shouldn't be the semi-main on Dynamite. But hey, the match was basically just so we could get over the Chucky T, now known as Charles Taylor, out as Miro's Butler. There was some bollocks after. Sorry, I'm not going to swear. Some balls after the match of like Charles Taylor having to say that Miro's his best mate, and this offended Orange Cassidy. So going forward, we're going to get Orange Cassidy versus Miro, which I'm all for that. I do think that'll be all right. But we need to move. I know like AEW like taking the time with like builds and angles, but we need this to go a bit further, a bit faster. The Miro, I want Miro to go out and kill people. I don't want him in his $500 tracksuits just having a laugh with his geeky mate kid. I want monster he should have been. WWE in the first 9 months of Rusev Miro's run in WWE was handled much better than Miro's first 6 to 9 months in AEW. So I'm just saying, we need to get, hopefully it's going to happen at the wedding, and Miro just beat the shit out of everyone. Put Penelope Ford in the accolade if you want. You know what I mean? I just want to see Monster Miro, and hopefully that is to come 2 weeks at Beach Blast. The main event was the Inner Circle 3-way tag to see who is the official team of the Inner Circle, and you know this is going to cause some trouble. Sammy Guevara was on fire, and the botch, Chris Jericho, Christopher, I felt sorry for you. Chris Jericho goes for a lion salt, and he just flips and goes flat back on his head. It was awkward, and I just thought, it's horrible to see someone as great as Jericho. We're slowly seeing him. He's not even where he was, is he, 18 months ago? He's just, for me, he's gone a lot downhill in the ring. He's in good, I wish I was in as good a shape as he was at 50, but I don't know. It just missing. I don't know what it is with Jericho's in-ring work. He's over as a character, though, so that's great. But I don't know, something with Jericho in ring, I just feel like it's slipping. I'm hoping he's going to prove me wrong in a big singles match, but I don't think the Orange Cassidy really that good. Hoping that Jericho still has it, but it isn't looking good. So the match, I mean, I was watching this match and I thought, JR's hinting, there's not much TV time remaining. I thought, just going to end in it with MJF winning with the tights and Sammy, and that's exactly what happened. It was the right ending. They rushed to get off air, so MJF and Jericho are the official tag team of the Inner Circle. So that's going to cause trouble with Proud and Powerful. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be, people will be annoyed, it's a joke that like Proud and Powerful didn't win this match. That's all right. Proud and Powerful will get the time. They're going to be annoyed with this. Sammy Guevara is going to be annoyed with this, and this whole trouble with Inner Circle is going to go on. And that was Dynamite. That wasn't one of the best shows. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad show. There was some stuff that I did enjoy. I enjoyed the Dark Order stuff. I enjoyed the what was the tag team match? The Private Party tag team match. Thought it was enjoyable. I liked the way they're going. I love Top Flight. I like Private Party. I love the Acclaimed, which are hopefully going to get involved at some point. So yeah, there's a lot. Just keeping the ball rolling as we head into as I say, Beach Blast is the big show in 2 weeks, and Revolution is the big pay-per-view at the end of February. So it's all about laying the foundations for those two shows. Next week on Dynamite, we've got Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer. Cody Rhodes is responding to Shaq. Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood. And then this match, which is quite interesting, right? The Young Bucks and the Good Brothers versus the Dark Order. Are we going to see? It's going to be interesting, the interaction with the Bucks and the Good Brothers. But I was thinking maybe the Good Brothers beat down on the Dark Order. Hangman Page comes out to make the save, but doesn't join the group. He just helps him, but doesn't join. I think that's what we're going to see in the main event next week. We also got announced that there's going to be a tag team battle royal for the tag championships. The tag team battle royal is going to take place at Beach Blast, but the winner is going to face the Young Bucks at Revolution. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. I think all roads do seem to be going towards the Bucks against Gallows and Anderson. Do you think that would be the right way to go with this? But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll be another team, but I do think we're going to be heading in that direction. And that was Dynamite, everyone. That was it. 48 minutes. Flipping heck, I can talk. But yeah, that was Dynamite. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10 or something like that. It was fine. It wasn't as bad as Raw, put it that way. It was an enjoyable hour and a half to 2 hours, depending if you fast forward through the adverts. And some of you might have even fast forwarded through the women's match. Not that I did that. So yeah, that's it basically. I just want to say thanks to everyone. It's been weird. This is the first show that I've ever done live. I've tried my best. We've had some problems with that going on and off. I'll get that sorted hopefully for next week. But yeah, it's weird doing it live because like, I don't know, like I've been doing podcasting now for like 2 years or something. And the amount of times I've had to either edit something's gone wrong, the microphone's cut out, or some idiots rang my phone or something, but we've thinking before. I thought it's going to be a big job, this, but hey, I enjoyed doing it live. Thanks for everyone. It does tell you how many people have been watching. I appreciate every single one of you who's been listening to this show. I think last week's show was one of our most listened to shows to date. I was really happy with the listener count that we got for that. I will be back definitely next Thursday, 5 p.m. UK time, which is what? Dinner time, 12 o'clock Eastern time in the US, be 9 a.m. Someone right now I hope nobody is at the 9 a.m. Pacific time in the US watching me. What a horrible way to wake up. But hey, whoever's listening, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, just check us out on Twitter. It's at WWE versus AEW. I mean, I'm streaming this to Twitch. I've never used Twitch, but hopefully it's on Twitch. But yeah, I'm more of a YouTube guy myself. But yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. Help us get up to 1,000 subscribers. That'll be a big milestone. I'll be happy when we get up to that. I say I'll be back next Thursday talking next week's Dynamite, talking Raw. I'm sure in this world of wrestling there'll be some big stories in the next week. Who knows? Maybe I'll do an impromptu show over the weekend if anything's going on. But there's not really much going on. This weekend's mainly FA Cup Round 4, Chorley versus Wolves, Man United v Liverpool, the Conor McGregor fight Saturday night. So yeah, so everyone have a good weekend, and I will be back next Thursday. Don't forget, get this in your calendars. Royal Rumble preview show. We will be doing that. I'm going to try and get Tebs to join us. Hopefully that'll be taking place. Look out on our Twitter. I'll announce the date for that. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who's listened. I am going to polish off my Mountain Dew. Yeah, Diet Mountain Dew. And yeah, I will see you all next week on the WWE versus AEW podcast. Thanks everyone for listening, and I will see you next time.